Welcome to this next video. This is where we explore the date of Jesus' birth and the date of Jesus' death. We need to establish this in order to know that the timing that Daniel predicted of Jesus the Messiah's arrival was correct. So enjoy this video. Please comment, like and subscribe to my videos, and please share this video right now. As I said before, to look at Daniel's timeline about the end, to see if his timing is correct, we should look at a date that he predicted that has already come to pass. One of the dates that God spoke to him about was the arrival of the Messiah, or literally the Anointed One, or the Christ. Although some Jews still don't believe that Jesus is that figure, we believe that he is. Before we look at that further, we need to look at the timings mentioned about Jesus and the clues we have in Scripture. Here is a scripture that gives us a clue to the date of Jesus' birth.
When Herod realised that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted, because they are no more. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt.
We can look at timings in the Bible through events and other things, but mainly they can be found through kings that are mentioned. Here we can see King Herod was king, a pretty nasty character. Herod's death is in dispute, either 1 or 4 BC, but most historic accounts fit 1 BC more than 4 BC, for many reasons. Next, if you remember, there was a Roman census by Caesar Augustus. There was a census in 8 BC with some contradiction, but also a lesser known one in 2 BC. It's not unreasonable to suggest that they would like to get there early, so now we have 2 dates between 8 BC and 1 BC. For your information, here is a list of 2nd century historians that all said that Herod's death was 1 BC. So there we have a clue about the time when Jesus was born. Now let's look at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, which you could count as his arrival. The beginning of his ministry was at his baptism, and there was given a time for that, as the 15th year of Tiberius in Luke 3:1. So as you can see here, we have either 12 or 14 AD being the beginning of Tiberius's reign. These dates are not in dispute, it's just Tiberius had what's called a regency reign in 12 AD, like a practice run if you will. This was found in one manuscript. It's quite well known that the Hebrews used to use these reigns rather than the time that he was sworn in. Jesus did this when he mentioned the high priest Abiathar instead of Ahimelech. Careful reading shows that Abiathar was Ahimelech's son in training. This puts the 15th year of Tiberius at AD 27 or AD 29, and also the start of Jesus' ministry. Luke 3:23 says Jesus was 30 years old when he began his ministry. So as you can see, this would put Jesus' birth date at the latter end of 2 BC or 5 BC. But 2 BC doesn't fit with Herod's death very well, because within a matter of a few months we would have to fit in the visit of the Magi, the shepherds, the fleeing to Egypt, and the staying there for a while. So 5 BC is looking more likely. So let's look at Jesus' death and resurrection as another date.
Mark 16:9. Jesus rose early on the first day of the week.
So we have the first day of the week here when Jesus rose from the dead. So that is Sunday for the Jews. The Jewish day though begins at 6:30 p.m. the day before. I know it's a bit complicated, but it does. So our Saturday, 6:30 p.m. onwards when Jesus rose from the dead, before sunrise.
Matthew 12:40. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
So we see that Jesus' body was dead 3 days and 3 nights. So we have to count back 3 days and 3 nights from when he rose from the dead.
Luke 23:54. It was preparation day, and the Sabbath was about to begin.
So as we can see that when Jesus was crucified, it was a preparation day. So what is a preparation day? A preparation day is a preparation for the Sabbath, where they couldn't do any work, so they had to prepare not to do any work. So you could say to yourself that the Jewish Sabbath is on a Friday night to Saturday evening, so it must be on a Friday when Jesus was crucified. But the feasts are also called the Sabbaths and have preparation days.
Matthew 26:17. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover?"
So Matthew 26:17 says that it was on the first day of unleavened bread, that is the Passover. So you might say this must be the 15th of Nisan then, because that is the day of Passover. And Jesus died on the 16th of Nisan. Now, let's explore that now. If you thought it was the 16th of Nisan, well, first of all, you'll be forgetting that the Jews begin their day the night before, so you'd have to be looking for the 15th. Here is a list of preparation days, the 14th, and what day of the week they fell on at that time. For it to have been the 15th, the Passover, you would have to have another day of preparation for a weekly Sabbath, so falling on the 15th on a Friday. As you can see, that fits none of the dates on here on the Thursday. And there is another problem with the 15th. As I said before, the 15th is a Passover feast, a Sabbath, so the Jews, especially the Jewish leaders, would not be crucifying Jesus on the Sabbath, because that would be work, and no one is allowed to work on the Sabbath. So is this a problem? Or did Jesus just celebrate the Passover because he knew he wouldn't be able to celebrate it the next day, because he was going to be crucified? Careful research will reveal that the Galileans celebrated what's called the Last Supper, which was on the 14th of Nisan, the night before. So this would be considered as a Passover meal. And even today, the 14th, the day of preparation, is still considered as the first day of unleavened bread by some. I think this was a divine providence, preparing for Jesus' Last Supper before his death, so that the day of preparation of Passover is still open. So at the same time that the lambs were being slaughtered for the Passover, Jesus was being sacrificed for us. So Jesus said that he would be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Jesus died at 3 p.m. and was buried effectively the start of the next day for the Jews, mentioned in Matthew 27:57. Take a look. I have written this in modern day system, but don't forget that the day starts for the Jews the night before. The middle row shows the traditional date of AD 33 on Friday, the day of preparation of the Sabbath. But as you can see, 3 days and 3 nights don't fit in. When Jesus died, darkness came over the land. Some people use this to say that there was a supernatural night to fit in 3 days and 3 nights. The row at the bottom shows that I have been very generous with this to fit this in, but even with that, it doesn't fit in. So, either Jesus or his disciples couldn't count to 3, even though 2 of his disciples were accountants. Many of them would be able to speak Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek and Latin, and Jesus, being a rabbi, would be able to recite the whole of the Old Testament. So there must be another explanation. Yes, there is, as you can see on the first row, AD 30, on a Wednesday. And this shows how 3 days and 3 nights could be fit in. So, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, Saturday day, and then sometime, as it is written, early the next day, which would be our Saturday night, rising from the dead. So as we said before, Jesus' birth was more likely 5 BC, and not Christmas Day. Sorry about that. And fits very nicely with AD 30. This answers many questions that come up when we read about Jesus' death. What is more important for the next section of this? If Jesus' death was AD 30, starting his ministry would be AD 26. So that concludes that part of the video. In our next video, we'll see that the time when Jesus started his ministry was prophesied, showing we can rely on the timeline Daniel gives for the end. And that might be a bit scary, but we need to be ready. So enjoy the next video, which will come up here.